Hey guys, I'm D'Angelo with TravelCostaRicaNow.com, and thank you guys for coming along with another expat interview. Today we have Christine. Christine's been here for a long time. So hopefully this is going to be a great interview. It's going to be great. Hopefully it goes good on my part. My first interview of me interviewing people. So you're my first.
I'm quite honored. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Christine, for coming along.
All right.
All right, so Christine, you moved here, what was it, 25 years ago?
Yes, can you believe it? Wow, just like that.
Quick. And you've always been in the La Fortuna area?
Yes.
Yeah. What made you move here?
Well, I was working in tourism to begin with. So I was working for a company, back in the day it was called Gap, but it's G Adventures, based out of Toronto. And so I was leading trips all over South America, doing the Inca Trail, which I did like 16 times. And then they needed someone up here in Central America. So they sent me up here. You know, I'd lived in Mexico for a while, but it was a whole new ballgame. I mean, coming through all the way from Cancun, like through all the countries, Belize, Guatemala.
So you were young traveling through all of it.
Oh my goodness, it was intense.
Back in the day, I'm sure that has changed.
Yeah, because we didn't have any phones.
Oh.
You know, you weren't like connected on Waze or on Google Maps.
You're on paper maps.
Exactly, it was crazy. You know, and you know, even making reservations and things. I mean, you didn't have really an opportunity to look things online or to get on WhatsApp to communicate with people. So it was a challenge.
Difficult.
No phone. I mean,
yeah.
So you had like these plastic cards, and you'd have to run around to look for a public phone. You guys probably don't even know what that is, but
I moved here 5 years after you,
okay.
and I think that's when I got my first smartphone. Was like maybe 4 years after I moved here, so there was no smartphones, nothing like that, no helpful internet as there is today.
Exactly. So it was quite a Wild West time, and so when I got here in Central America, you know, I'd taken my group down from Cancun and then like all through the countries, Guatemala, Nicaragua. And when they got to Costa Rica, of course, everybody wanted to go rafting. And so took the group rafting, and then we had a great time. And then I ended up, getting to know the owner of the company quite well. He asked me to marry him, and I was married, about 25 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah. So
nice.
like
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, I remember like you guys, the company you started, it started with rafting,
right?
You said, and then it kind of blew up. It snowballed. It just kind of grew. So you did. I think when we met you, you were starting up your canyoneering, waterfall rappelling.
Right, exactly.
And that's an awesome tour. One of my favorite tours here in the area is the waterfall rappelling.
Right, it's pretty amazing.
And you guys do a great combo of a day combo of waterfall rappelling in the morning or in the afternoon, and then switch with rafting.
Rafting, right, exactly. Yeah, so that was a great way to get started, and got to know a lot about the kind of the workings of here. And I think although my husband did get his foot in the door a little bit earlier, a couple years earlier than I did, coming together, and I was able to get some investment from my parents. They helped out a great deal to help us buy a property in the downtown area right behind the church.
Prime location.
Exactly. And back in the day, I mean, nobody was selling property.
Yeah.
It was all very tight-knit community here.
The town was super small.
Yes, really small. I mean, they're just starting to build some of the bigger hotels, up by the volcano and things like that.
I remember if you blinked, it was gone. The town, you passed through it.
That's so true. People would miss it. It was funny. So, we really got our foot in the door right at the right time, and we're able to build our office behind the church, and that really gave us kind of that notoriety. Yeah, exactly. And so from there, it was really important to diversify. We didn't just want to have rafting guides. We wanted to have adventure guides that could really do a lot more things, and so they would be more employable as well.
Yeah.
So they could, after being a rafting guide, which is really quite hard on your body, you could then go on to become a nature guide, or you could do other things. And so that was really our philosophy back in the day, to try to look for other adventures, invent new things. Our slogan was always on the verge, or on the always looking for new adventures. Right. And so we were the first ones to do like stand-up paddling in the area, bringing on different bike routes that other companies were doing. And so, like I said, we're always trying to innovate and do new things.
Yeah. Okay. Very nice. I remember I watched your company just grow and grow and grow at the time. Michael and I started ours probably about 8 years after Yours.
Well, I remember the early days,
Yeah.
hanging out together in Rufino's.
Yeah.
I mean, our time goes way
back.
too.
Yeah. It's crazy how time flies.
Right,
Like,
exactly.
Unbelievable. It's already been 20 years for me.
Yeah. Wow.
It is crazy.
Uh-huh.
Our part, Michael never wanted to grow big. Always wanted to stay small, just enough to pay the bills and to live comfortably and not be super overworked.
Right.
And
it's hard to find that
yeah,
life balance.
I can imagine your company. It's huge. You guys are now all over the country.
You know, before the pandemic, yeah, it was a different thing.
Yeah.
We had more offices and things like that. But the pandemic really made us kind of focus on the main core activities, like adventure. And unfortunately, just coming out of the pandemic, I had to ask for a divorce from my husband. And so I've kind of had to reinvent myself and try new things. And
you and me both. Not a divorce, but you and me both.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so unfortunately, I'm kind of in that phase right now of the divorce, and it's been hard because my whole life was adventure tourism and being the co-owner of one of the largest adventure companies in Central America, and we had a lot of notoriety internationally as well because we won best adrenaline tour in the world by Get Your Guide. We had best tour operator for local economies given out by Virgin Holidays.
Yeah, it's okay. Hopefully, we got the mic, so it's okay. That's midnight in the background.
Yeah, exactly. So so we we really grew, and I think we tried to be a model company for other companies, and
I'd say you guys did a really good job.
Thank you. Yeah. So since then, I've had to kind of reinvent and move on, and so that's kind of where we've kind of reconnected again. And,
Yeah.
So I have another company which is called Costa Rican Inspirations, and it's really based more on like wellness and nature tours. We have our own like really great nature guides. We do yoga, jungle yoga.
Yeah, I took a class. It's nice because you are surrounded by the jungle sounds. You can hear right next to the river. You hear the river rushing through. It's
Exactly.
nice.
Yeah, so that's really our focus right now is, to do more of the wellness, nature things, not so much of the adventure stuff. But yeah, so it's been a whole process. So along with the Costa Rica Inspirations Project, also working on some real estate and relocation, helping with some Airbnbs and that kind of thing. So
Very nice. Those are all good fields right now.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
Very good.
Well, trying to be.
Yeah.
We've had a bit of a bumpy year or so, but hoping that 2026
it's going to be better for sure.
Exactly. So,
Let me go back really quick to your beginning when you moved here. You said you were traveling throughout the different countries.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So what made you pick Costa Rica? Is that because of the husband you met him, or was it other things that brought you to pick this country specifically?
Well, that's a really good question because when I was traveling, I had lived in Mexico before, and so I always thought that I would go back to Mexico eventually. After I had been living in Mexico for about 6 years, I was actually a television reporter with the company Televisa. We had started a project called Expansión Financiera, so I was like, on air, like doing this kind of stuff way back in the day. And, reporting on financial issues around Mexico. And my beats were actually tourism, the aeronautics industry, and the automotive industry. And so, that took me, all over the place, and it was it was very much an incredible experience. But then I had been in Canada for a while, in Montreal, working for the Commission for Environmental Cooperation, so we're dealing with all the environmental issues among Mexico, Canada, the United States. So I still had a lot of opportunity to travel around Mexico and things like that. So
you had a big travel bug in you at that young age.
Exactly. So I did a lot of exploring. Even when I was with G Adventures, I got to like Guatemala and Rio Dulce. I thought, hanging out here, starting a nice little echo.
Yeah, that's a great company back in the day. I always was like, man, I should go apply with them because they take you everywhere.
Yeah, it's true. And, you didn't have any costs, you didn't have to pay rent or anything like that. You were making an income every month. So I was able to save a lot of money. That really helped me when I came here, and I invested in my husband's company as well. So, that with my parents' investments, we were able to really put that together. But so I was looking around. I thought maybe if not, Guatemala, then Nicaragua had some great opportunities as well. But geez, when I got here to Costa Rica, there's nothing
compares. Yeah, nothing compares to the beauty here, especially the La Fortuna area.
Exactly, yeah, and it was just up and coming, and I really did see a lot of potential and ways that I could help my husband build his company based on the experiences that I had had, and I think little by little we were able to grow and diversify, kind of like what you were saying. That it wasn't just rafting, then did the rappelling in waterfalls, and really grew from there.
So you're originally from Wisconsin.
I am from Wisconsin.
Wisconsin.
Yeah, little cheesehead.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because I know we're going to get into some more expat stuff, but as part of like the diversification process, we started doing cooking classes, and I really wanted to understand the whole process of actually bringing food from the farm and putting it on the table. And so we started our own farm. I had my own dairy business. It's called Rapsodia, and so we produced the first cuajadas, which cuajadas are these very, very fresh cheese, unpasteurized balls of cheese. It's kind of a feta kind of feel to it. Very popular in Nicaragua.
Balls have like a string cheese type of
No,
cheese?
we did that as well, which is palmita. Yeah. But this other thing is called cuajada, and so it's it's compact, but then when you start cutting it, it kind of crumbles, and so it's very common in Nicaragua and Guanacaste and places like that. So we were the first dairy company to actually have that, and we had distribution to the local supermarkets like Roseville, and then little pulperias, which are like the small supermarkets
stores,
in the
little mini marts.
So we had our own route, and we would like drop off all of our cheeses. We had the fresh cheese, we had natilla, which is like a sour cream, and then we had the cuajadas. So
you've expanded a lot then throughout the years.
And it was great because then we would provide it for our clients who came and did our rafting and canoeing tours, and so they'd have a full lunch at our restaurant that was providing this food. And we had also yuca that I was growing, and some nyampi, these like interesting tuberculo or root kind of thing. So so it was a whole adventure beyond the the adrenaline adventure. So we did diversify quite a bit back in the day.
Did you find it difficult to accumulate from U.S. lifestyle to back in the day? I mean, I would say Costa Rica is now not what it used to be 25 years ago. Like it was, like you said, no smartphones, no internet, nothing like that. Was it a hard change to make back then? You had that travel bug. You were like, get me out of here. Let's go see, explore the world.
But, once I found here and really concentrated on the company and trying to build it and so forth, it just felt very comfortable to be here. And the challenge of, trying to grow the company and getting to know people and be accepted. And it's interesting here in Costa Rica, particularly in San Carlos. Back in the day, it was a little bit more, I don't know if I can say it, but xenophobic. There was like this kind of sense of curiosity mixed with fear of people moving into the community. And so
San Carlos is our province here.
And so that was certainly a challenge in the beginning, just to kind of get people to feel comfortable with who we were. And what was great is that, for newcomers. So very strategically, we brought on some staff that had really great reputations. They were the ones who were able to be the face of the company and really, help us out and create. Well, we had a fantastic executive team, and so they were all Costa Ricans, of course, and so they guided us in how we were employing people and understanding the customs and the vacations and the all the other aguinaldo, extra bonus.
And San Carlos is a huge cowboy province, like very cowboy.
So all of that was an important transition for us. But once you do get to know San Carleños or Costa Ricans in general, I mean, everybody says it. They're the most friendly people in the world and very accommodating. And I remember so many Christmases spending with Costa Rican families because, it was just my husband and I for a long time. And we do have a 15-year-old daughter. And so, but it's just been so beautiful to really be accepted into the culture now. And when people, introduce me, they don't introduce me as La Tica, or digo sea a la gringa.
You can't be gringa anymore after all this time.
so that's reassuring to me. But But one of the things I was going to mention, I think that whole transition happened when we did have our daughter. You get to know the other families. You're involved in
immersed a little bit more into the culture.
Yeah, exactly. So
especially the family culture here, which I've never been immersed into.
Right.
Michael was never a kid person. I'm not a kid person. Like, we see a bunch of kids are like, okay, you go play over there.
Yeah, exactly. But that is, I think, a strong part of the culture here is that whole family connection, and kids are important, and so they do a lot of activities for kids here. In fact, this morning I was playing pickleball, and they have clinics for children during this is the holiday season right now, and so kids are on vacation, and so
they're on vacation for a long time.
Right, I know.
Like every year, I'm like, they're still on vacation.
It's like two months or so for the holiday season. So yeah, so they're at least having things for them to do. So there's a pickleball clinic, and I saw a bunch of jumpy things.
The bouncy houses. Yeah. There was 10 of them out there. I'm like,
so kids are important, and parents go a long way to try to support them.
Yeah.
And in fact, I remember when Marley was much younger, one of the things I really wanted to do was get her exposed to different sports and different activities and that kind of thing. And so in the very beginning, I was concerned that we're this small town that's very much based on tourism, but there wasn't that whole kind of family connection. So a lot of times I'd have to take Marley an hour away to Ciudad Quesada to participate in ballet, and to get her into gymnastics, for example. But here in La Fortuna, it's grown more, and so there are more opportunities.
More activities and stuff for kids here.
There's ballet, there's dance here now. They also have triathlon, so Marley with her cute little running shorts, was doing the running, the biking, and the swimming, and so there's
my neighbor has Virgil is now I think 17, so he grew up in the school system here as well, and he started in the school band, and the band here in La Fortuna band is huge, way bigger than I would have imagined. It is huge. They've got kids playing every instrument, dancing, twirling flags, and all kinds of things. They've gone international playing. They've gone to Festival of the Lights just this last week in San Jose.
They've actually marched in Pasadena.
The Rose Parade.
Yes, they've been to the Rose Bowl Parade.
They were. I remember watching that. I don't know why. I don't really watch the Rose Bowl Parade, but last year I think I was watching it, and they said Costa Rica, La Fortuna band. I'm like, wait, what? Let me rewind that.
It's pretty crazy. It is an amazing band, and I came from a band background also. Wanakee Warriors, shout out, the Marching Warriors. And so I very much appreciate that as well. I mean, there's a lot of musical talent in this community. So, you can even head out in the night and watch some live bands and really appreciate the kind of talent that people here have here. So,
do you feel like your daughter's missing anything from growing up in a small, not really, we're growing, we're still a small town, but a small town La Fortuna as opposed to what you grew up in the States?
She thinks she's missing out, but she would love to, finish off high school in the U.S. But I would have to say that the education that she received in a public school, I think is much better than I experienced as a young person growing up in a very good public school in Wisconsin. She, at her public school here in La Fortuna, it's quite renowned, it's the Burrito School or San Francisco, has its own farm. So she learned to, get out into the farm, pick up the eggs, clean up the caca and, the pig pens, and milk the cows.
What's it called, husbandry or something? The animal husbandry, where you take care of the animals.
Right, exactly. And what was cool is that, they would have to plant the things at certain geometrical measurements.
Distance from everything,
Exactly. So they'd have to go out there, they'd have to measure things. And then when it came time to do the harvesting, so they'd be out there, they'd be harvesting the beans, then drying them. They also had tilapia. They'd have to package things, market them, go to the market here, the farmer's market, sell them, collect the money, then do the accounting. I mean, it's this huge thing.
Yeah.
And so definitely I feel she got an amazing, elementary school.
That's good. That's all in elementary?
All in elementary,
Wow.
Up until sixth grade. Up into sixth grade. And so then she went on to seventh grade, which they call high school here, or colegio. And what I found very interesting here is that it's much more competitive to get into the public school than into the private schools.
Really?
And so all the public schools require a really good high grade average. They have to take an exam to get into the different public schools.
For high school?
For high school. And the public high schools, a lot of them are bilingual, and so I think they require like a certain level of proficiency in English. And so even though Marley, my daughter, had a pretty good grade average and things like that, it was still very challenging for her to get into these different schools. But
I'm assuming she's fluent in English and Spanish.
She does quite well in both of the language. And so because of her gymnastics, the best thing we had to do was to actually put her into private high school in Ciudad Quesada, which is an hour away. So
she went all the way over there?
Yeah, so she's up in the morning at 5:40 in the morning. And then, she travels, gets into school, then she goes straight to training, and she's getting back here to La Fortuna about 9 in the evening, pretty much every day.
That sounds like my childhood. I did that in Tucson. So I woke up at 5:30, 5:40 in the morning and caught a bus, took it halfway across town, switched buses and took it the next halfway across town, all in elementary and junior high.
Was it like a magnet school?
Yeah, it was a magnet school. So my bus hours were like 2 hours to school, 2 hours back. On my way back, I would fall asleep and miss my stop. I have to call my mom. You got to come pick me up way over here now.
Oh my goodness.
I hated it, but it was a better school.
Right, exactly. So, but yeah, so kind of the difference between public and private is interesting. I think the private schools are a little bit more lax in terms of their educational requirements in some cases. I don't want to speak badly of any of them, but it's still a very good learning environment. There isn't that sense of bullying, I think, that you hear about so much right now among young people. Yeah. And they're a little bit more cautious about the use of cell phones and screen time and so forth in the classroom.
That's good.
So. Yeah, I've had a very, very positive experience. And so,
nice.
And I was even at that point too when I was first pregnant, and oh my goodness, having to think about school for Marley. Do I homeschool her?
Is that an option here?
They allow it. You do have to get some sort of certification from MEP, which is the Ministry of Education here. But yeah, there are some groups I've seen, and they have internationally recognized packages or online packages that you can get that can be approved here.
Okay.
But I would very much recommend trying to get your child into more of a socialized environment with the local school systems. And
it's good to mix them in with the rest of the community.
Exactly. And don't be afraid of public schools here.
Yeah. And who has time to homeschool?
Right. Yeah. So, just being in a different culture and just being here, that's a huge amount of schooling right there. So, yeah.
What about, we get a lot of questions on the channel of vaccinations.
Ooh.
We get a lot of people that don't want to vaccinate and a lot of people that are all for it.
Right.
It's mandatory in the public schools, right?
It is obligatory, yeah. And there have been cases also where they just give the vaccination without even
telling the parents
that it's going to happen on such a day. So, if you are critical of that or concerned about that, just be aware.
I had
of
a friend 15 years ago that didn't want to vaccinate his kids, and they tried to take his kids away from him. And he tried to fight it, and he ended up just leaving, going back to the States. Okay. He didn't want to vaccinate his kids 15 years ago.
Right.
Then this past COVID vaccination round, I had another friend that didn't want to vaccinate his kid. I think his kid was the only kid in the school that didn't get vaccinated. And Pani, the organization that looks out after kids, tried to take his kid. And it got very ugly. It was a fight he put up. It got very ugly until finally at the end, they left him alone.
Wow. Yeah. So that's something to consider here, for sure. Other than that, to talk a little bit about the health system here, it's something that kind of depends upon the situation, I would say. We're really lucky that we do have universal health care. So since I'm a business owner, I do have my staff on what we call the CAHA. So we have them on the CAHA, we have them on the universal health care system here. So a percentage of their salary goes into the system, and then I pay the remainder. So it's like a breakdown of, I don't remember exactly, but 9%, I think, from the employee salary, and then I pay 21% of their salary into the system. And it's just something that automatically gets paid every month, and you have that assurance that they're taken care of.
Yeah.
I mean, being a business owner and having to have your staff on Caja is expensive. So if you can imagine, 21% of their salary. So if they're earning $1,000, for example, it's $210 that you're paying toward their
monthly.
Yeah.
That's a lot, yeah. Because I was just trying to I only know expats coming down here that want to get into the Caja, and their salaries can vary drastically depending on how they got their residency, whether it's pensionado or investor, or depending on the category, and then their age. Right. So I know expats that have started at like $45 a month for their Caja, and then people like Michael, I think he was paying close to $400 at the beginning. So it varies.
Exactly. It depends on the amount that you indicate to the Caja that you want to be insured for.
Insured, okay.
Yeah. So, but that's something that is a very personal decision. What you say. But so that system I think is very important. It gives me a sense of relief that they're taken care of and their families are taken care of. And so, and there's also workers' compensation, which is through El INS. So riesgo de trabajo is what that is. And so we also have our employees on that. And that's really important, if they're, driving and, they get into an accident or stuff like that.
You have a lot of drivers.
Yeah. So it's important that you have those both insurances. Yeah. And, the service, of course, everybody complains, whether you're in Canada or Europe, whatever, there's that sense of having to wait for services and, waiting in long lines and at the public clinics and public hospitals. But
lines.
Yes.
Thank goodness for phones now. When you're sitting in a line, just let's watch a video or play a game. Or
exactly. Keep yourself busy or working along the way. But so that can be very challenging. But we do have a good private system as well. I mean, here in La Fortuna, we have, a few different private clinics. Some are better than others. But,
And then we just had a huge one open up, the big clinic.
Oh, right. The Metro. Oh, you mean the one here in Fortuna?
Yeah, by the gas station. That one's a pretty big clinic. I've already been there twice with my roommate.
Oh, really? Okay.
Is
it nice? I haven't been there.
I only been to the entrance room there. Yeah, so I haven't seen the rest of it. He walked into a glass door and got glass cut through his leg and everything. And
oh, goodness.
Yeah, it was not good. And then another time he was just super sick and had to go.
But do you feel they got good?
So they're at the clinic, no, because it's more of a clinic. It's not a hospital, so they just kind of check you and make sure everything's okay. But if you need anything more drastic, they send you to Ciudad Quesada, to the hospital over there.
Okay.
And so like when he got glass in his leg, all they could do, because it was glass, is pretty much stick their finger in his hole and move around and feel for glass and pull it out. He said it was the most painful experience he's ever gone through. And then the doctor, the nurse there, whoever worked on him, was like, well, I'm not sure if we got it all out. You should go to the emergency room and see if they can give you an x-ray and see if there's any more glass in there.
Sure.
And so we're like, okay, that's an hour away. Let's go. And the emergency room's going to be forever. We get there and that doctor's like, why'd they send you? You can't x-ray glass. And I'm like, I should have known that. But he got another finger stuck in there and moved around. He was not happy.
Yeah. Well, there's another example of the kind of care that you can get here. But, I've had overall very positive care here. I had dengue, and
that's not
it was
fun.
very severe. I had very low plaquetas, or white blood cells, I think,
Blood cells, platelets.
So I was sent...
Dengue is a mosquito bite. Mosquito carries around a dengue virus, which can be a very painful, like bone, muscle hurting.
Yeah, exactly.
Virus.
All of that. Yeah. But, thank goodness it doesn't happen very often.
Yeah,
I mean, this was
rare.
like a bit of a problem that we had in the community. Because
years ago.
It was quite a few years ago. And they have a lot of systems right now to curtail those kind of problems.
In my 20 years, I've only known one other person in the area that's got it.
And so, it's not usually when you think of like malaria and things like that. Malaria actually comes from dirty water, and then the mosquitoes becoming infected because of the dirty water. Dengue is more from running water, and it's not because it's dirty water.
Yeah.
So anyway,
the city goes around every month and checks properties.
Right.
I get them coming to my door every month and knocking on the door. Okay, we got to come inspect your property, looking for any
recipients,
distilled water. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, so that was kind of a one-off, and unfortunately happened to me. But the care that I received, I was at Clínica Bíblica, and just it was very, very super modern.
Yeah.
Great service.
Bíblica is one of the bigger hospitals in the San Jose area.
Exactly. Oh, and since we're on the whole healthcare thing, I have to say that my daughter is the product of in vitro, and so we did that back in the day when it was actually illegal.
15 years ago, illegal.
Yeah, it was illegal in Costa Rica. It was only illegal in two places in the world, in the Vatican and Costa Rica.
Oh my goodness!
Right?
Serious?
Exactly. So
wow,
it kind of tells you a little bit about kind of the Catholic culture here and so forth.
Very religious upbringing here.
Yeah, and so it is now permitted, but back in the day we had to go to a Panamanian doctor who was located in SEMA, which is another one of the really nice
big hospitals
here. And he would do the whole procedure. You know, I had to have a lot of injections. One of the injections was actually a hormone that was distilled from nuns from England. This is a crazy thing, right?
Was it a placebo hormone?
I don't know. But anyway, it was like this intense, like oil-based kind of hormone thing, and it was quite difficult to.
I met a hotel owner in Granada, Nicaragua, selling condoms blessed by nuns, and he was making a fortune.
Interesting, little holy water.
Yeah.
All right, but so we went through the process, and then we would have to fly to Panama to actually do the process of the in vitro. So
in Panama,
and so very, very intense, modern facility. And you can actually go in, you can see, you know, as your daughter's being replicated cell by cell. So yeah,
cool.
it was a pretty incredible experience. And so,
but now it's legal here.
It is legal here now. And I think part of the issue was that a lot of the drugs that you need to have for the injections and so forth are quite expensive, and so it was hard, I think, for the system, the universal healthcare system, to be able to accommodate those kind of additional costs. But now I think they have a better in the system. It's working out, and you know, I really feel fortunate, incredibly blessed that I have my daughter. So.
I know, 15 already. It sounds like it seems like you just had her the other day.
Now she's 15 and still growing. But yeah, but overall, you know, the healthcare system, the education system, you know, a lot of people ask me, you know, do you miss the U.S. or do you wish that you would have raised your daughter in the U.S. and definitely
it's a hard no.
Yeah,
Don't miss it.
Not at all. What I do miss are Fig Newtons.
Fig Newtons, yeah, I remember that from 20 years ago. You saying that, I remember that.
It's the only thing I miss, really.
Yeah, I totally remember that.
So, but yeah, just feel really, really privileged to live here. So it's a great place to.
And the school system here is kind of like the hospital system here. It's kind of free for education for the kids to an extent.
Right.
Is it expensive to keep a kid in a school system here?
The public school, like you said, public school is paid for by taxpayer money, you know, and so since we don't have a military, you know, some of that money can be, you know, redistributed into public projects, and so one of them is the education system, and so there's, I would say, you know, good public schools because of that reason. You know, there's little things that you have to pay, the uniforms, which is very cool that they use uniforms, so you don't have to think about trying to, you know, buy a whole wardrobe for a child that grows out it for the next year. So that's been great. So just one uniform, couple shoes. You know, they have to buy the fancy notebooks now, and you know, they have a list of things that they have to buy each year.
I remember my friends' kids were at the beginning of the school year. Then the teacher gives them a list of just things they can bring to the class and donate to the school, and it wasn't a lot, but it was just a bunch of different things.
Right. You can, you know, I think last year I spent over 200, and so just on notebooks and things like that. It can be $200 US, so it was quite expensive. But in terms of, like going to a private high school, it very much ranges from, maybe $400 a month to $800 a month. I mean, it can be some of the more wealthier high schools in San Jose, I think, are quite expensive. It's a little bit more reasonable here, but and then in addition to that, you have to pay for transportation, and they're always asking for a lot of different things that they need for projects that they're doing. If they're doing like a science project or an art project, or so there's
always something.
Additional costs for that.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. Trying to think of anything else. Anything else I have on my questionnaires here for you? I think we hit almost all of them.
So if anybody wants to relocate here, you've got the expert right here.
Yeah. Second expert here.
So good team. So,
you've actually, like myself, we've traveled around the country extensively. We've seen lots of different parts of the country.
Right.
Would you say, for whatever reason, La Fortuna, would there be a second option, or was La Fortuna always the option and didn't really think of another area?
I am so in love with Playa Samara.
Samara, okay, I hear that a lot.
So
I've only been there once.
You have to go back. So in Marley's early years, we did spend quite a bit of time in Carrillo, which is the beach right next to Playa Samara. Just the environment, I mean, it's still very much owned by a lot of local Costa Ricans, which I think adds to the nice local flavor. The beach is beautiful. It doesn't have like undertows or crazy currents, and so it's great for families. So if anybody's interested in
warmer weather, drier weather.
Yes, exactly.
And the roads aren't necessarily paved all the way up. Are they now?
They are now.
They are now?
Okay. Nosada isn't quite as nice, which is, I mean, in terms of their roadways, which is right next to Samara, but Samara and Carrillo do have nice paved roads. So.
Is it a bigger town now, or is it about La Fortuna size?
Not as big as La Fortuna.
Not as big?
No.
Okay, still kind of small.
It does have a nice downtown area with a good mix of restaurants and cafes and tour operators and hotels. And so, it's a cute little place. So definitely, that would be second.
Second for you.
Yeah.
All right.
How about you?
I've always loved La Fortuna. Michael and I were not beach people. Like, if I go to the beach, neither one of us would go swimming in it. We'd get, like, ankle deep, and that's it. So we never was like, let's go live at the beach. No, it was never a thing for us. But now that I've been here so long, I always throw this option out there. Like, okay, if I left La Fortuna, where would I go?
Mm-hmm.
But I love the Puerto Viejo area.
That's beautiful.
It isn't as built up as it was when I was visiting before. I've been there numerous times to the Puerto Viejo area, but now it's definitely grown quite a lot.
Right.
I love that area. The Ubita, Dominical area, beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I do love the seclusion, the wilderness, so maybe Osa Peninsula and just get away from everybody.
Exactly.
Did you find any problems with, I know it's a big topic now with gentrification and expats wanting to move here. Costa Ricans are a little bit being a little bit more vocal about that.
Right.
Did you feel in 25 years, any of that your way?
I think we missed that wave of it because we've been here for so long. We've kind of grown with the community, but I've seen that in some cases. But it's still amazing to me how helpful Costa Ricans are, and there are people interested. I mean, local Costa Ricans who are trying to sell their properties. First thing they're like, "Oh, you're American, or you're gringa. I'm sure you can find another gringo to come here to live or buy my property."
Yeah, I get that a lot.
Exactly. So
it's like we're the first people they go and ask before they try to put it on the market for locals.
Right. Exactly. So I think there is still that sense of a welcoming towards that culture. One of the things I always tell people is that when I lived in Mexico, I'd get into a taxi or something, and the taxi driver would ask, "Well, where are you from?" And I'd say, "Soy gringa, pero no tengo la culpa." So I'm from the U.S., but it's not my fault.
Yeah.
And so they would laugh. Ha, 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 ha. And when I say that here in Costa Rica, they're like, "Well, what do you mean?
Well, yeah.
What's the problem?" I mean, so that kind of gives you an idea. I think they're a little bit more welcoming here still.
Very welcoming.
And, my philosophy in being in the real estate business as well is to find places that fit well for the right kind of people, if that makes sense.
Yeah, well, that's
I don't want to sell something to somebody that will then realize like, oh, geez, this deal is not for me.
Since we mentioned real estate, that was going to be my next question: is where do you feel like families different parts of the country would be suitable for different types of people? So families, I mean, we do pretty good here. You do good here in the La Fortuna area. It's a smaller town. It's not a big city. A big city life for kids and families would be much more busier, I guess, in San Jose.
Right.
Elderly people would want to be closer to hospitals. So I'm assuming San Jose or Central Valley for sure. Central Valley has better weather type.
Sure.
Than here, where the rainforest. We rain.
There is rain. There's lots of sun here. You can tell we're already getting a little suntan today. But overall, I don't know. It really depends on the family and what they're looking for. I like this area because it's still so innocent.
Very, yes. That's a good word for this.
If that makes sense. And people are genuine. People are authentic. They play soccer in whatever field they soccer football, sorry. In any place that, there's an open thing and they're welcoming of people to come in and play. So, I like our small town feel, but maybe it's not for everybody.
No.
So, and San Jose has its nice parts. I mean, there's some really nice communities and great schools there, but there's nothing like La Fortuna.
Hustle and bustle of the big city I have no desire to ever go back to that ever.
You left Tucson, and that's it.
Yeah, Tucson, Las Vegas was big enough for me, and I was like, no, I need the opposite, and La Fortuna was definitely the opposite.
Yes, exactly. Wow, well, we covered a lot.
Yeah.
Anything else I need to say? But no, I think that there are still a lot of opportunities. I mean, people also ask about business opportunities. I think right now is actually kind of a good time to get your foot in the door because we've had a rough season. So people have taken on a lot of debt, opened their own Airbnbs.
Yeah.
Numbers haven't been quite so good.
I see the real estate market getting ready to open.
Yeah. Exactly.
Well, a lot of Airbnb, like a lot of homes here are Airbnbs, and it is just so saturated right now. And I definitely see them like not being able to hold on to them and needing to sell, and the market definitely opening up for real estate.
Exactly. And then business opportunities, because there's a lot of us who are now old, and maybe we started 20 years ago when things were just starting up, and we're looking to move on, and our children might not be interested in the businesses, and so I've heard of some opportunities coming up that, whether it's restaurants or tour operators or transportation opportunities.
I've seen the flow of change go from like the adventure activities and hustle and bustle of just adventure and running out and doing heavy, exhausting activities, climbing a volcano and stuff, to switching over to health and holistic and living clean and healthy living and a lot more vegetarian and vegan options here in La Fortuna, where there was hardly nothing before.
That's true.
Even with all the farmland that we are surrounded by before, it wasn't an option. Now it's like everywhere.
Yes. So those are very positive changes. Yeah. So, now's the time.
Now is the time.
Yeah. Exactly.
Well, Christine, thank you very much for your time.
What a pleasure to be the first one.
Yes. Hope it went well. We're gonna have a lot more. You guys will definitely hear more from Christine. And thank you guys for coming along. Again, we're travelcostarica.now.com. If you guys want to look for a Costa Rica travel adventure, go to our website, look up the travel part of our website, and if you're wanting to relocate and check into that and residency or any options about moving here, working here, doing anything of that, we'll have that on the website as well. So thank you guys for coming along. Have a good one. Hope it helps.
Yeah.